Good morning. Yeah. Okay. You can move mountains when you believe. You can move mountains, like something that appears so solid, immovable, couldn't change its shape, and when you believe, you can move it. You can change it. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. And what's most important about these questions that I'm about to ask you, it's actually not an invitation to shout out, though if you want to a little bit, you can. What's most important is, what is your answer? Not what's mine, or the person sitting next to you, or behind you, or in front of you. What is your answer? You ready? Here come the questions. So what do you believe? What do you believe? It's an important place to start because this is all about you. What do you believe? Do you believe that there is a power greater than you? Oh, y'all are willing to answer that one. All right, an invisible power, or spiritual power, or divine presence, that which is greater than you. Do you truly believe that? Okay. Do you believe that this divine presence is present absolutely everywhere? There's no place, there's no situation, there's no circumstance where Spirit God doesn't show up, not present? I know y'all thinking, I got this, move on quickly. I got this test, I'm going. What do you believe? Do you believe that Spirit is limitless? Believe that Spirit is limitless. So do you believe that there's any limit whatsoever to this thing we call Spirit, God, divine presence? Okay. You can't see it. You sure you believe it's limitless? Okay. Ernest Holmes tells us that the Spirit is limitless, but can only be to us what we believe it to be. So why must I believe this? Put the I on for you. You know how to do this. Why must I believe this? He says, because until we believe that it is, we are believing that it is not. Okay? So it's all a matter of belief. And belief is scientifically induced into a subjective state. It's subject to matter, right? Through a conscious endeavor. This is what Ernest Holmes tells us. Okay. Do you believe that there is a mental and spiritual law which operates upon your thought or thoughts? Yes? Okay. Well, in this book, Words That Heal Today, which I'm going to use quite a bit, this is one of my favorite books. I know you think I say that often. But after reading this for only the third time, it's in my top 5 now, okay? Something else has fallen away. Top 5, all right? And so there's a formula that Ernest Holmes gives us. Why must we believe? Because God is belief. God is belief, and belief is law. And law produces form. or substance. Okay? There's a formula. God is belief, right? Belief is law, and law produces substance or form. Okay. So Jesus said over and over and over and over again, it is done unto you as you believe. It's not done unto you as I believe. However, just because I know some practitioners are going to come up to me afterwards, I am going to let you know that 99% of the time-ish, that's true. Unless you, of course, are going to ask me or a practitioner or someone to do an affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment for you, and then it's done unto you as I believe. Got that? Okay. If you want to know more about that, get into foundations and start taking classes. But 99% of the time, it is done unto you as you believe. Now, that is some personal responsibility. That's why some people don't stick around very long. That's some personal responsibility. The thing is it's done unto you as you believe because there's an impersonal law that is always, always, always at work. Whether you're conscious of it or not, it's always working. It doesn't ever go to sleep, even when we do. And it's operating on your belief, not mine, for you. Okay? You with me so far? Okay, cool. But we can't stop there. And we're not going to stop there this morning. We've got to go a little beyond belief. We've got to go beyond it is done unto you as you believe without leaving it behind. Can't leave it behind, so we're going to bring it with us. We're now going to add faith to the equation. Okay? All right. Let's see what Ernest Holmes says about this subject. Jesus said that all space is filled with the divine presence. You already said yes to that, right? I love this. It's filled with the divine presence, peopling itself. That's a technical term, peopling itself with the many forms of its own creation. Hey, we're peopling it. He taught that all things and all people are rooted in this divine intelligence, which, because it is individualized in each, is personal to all. That's sweet. I like that. I like that it's personal to me. Do you? Yeah. Okay. He continues. Coupled with this concept of the divine presence and our relationship to it, he taught a universal law of cause and effect, a law of mind in action, operating creatively upon our thought. That's why we teach the law of cause and effect so much. Quote, thy faith hath, love these old terms, thy and hath and willeth and whatever. Thy faith hath made me whole. Believe, and it shall be done. Okay, those are the two quotes right there. That's it. Thy faith hath made me whole. Believe, and it shall be done. These statements refer to an impersonal law operating on our belief. This mental and spiritual principle in nature responds to us by corresponding with our mental attitude towards life. What's your mental attitude towards life? Don't go there yet. This is a law that causes faith to become a fact in our experience. Wow. Okay. So there's this universal law, this spiritual law, and it's impersonal. We were talking about this in class a little earlier, right? It's impersonal. Y'all understand what impersonal means? Yeah, it's the same for everyone. It doesn't have volition. It can't say yes, can't say no. Right? It just does. Right? It must produce it no matter what, whatever it is. Right? It can't deny what's placed into it. It can't say, nope, I don't want that. Give me something else. Whatever we place into it, it produces. It's like a little magic machine, right? And the key is it's personal to you. You're the one who puts the thought into it, not me, for you. You put the thought into it, and you make it personal. And he tells us that it corresponds with our mental attitude towards life, and that faith, right? Faith becomes a fact in our experience. Come here, Alana, if you wouldn't mind. Alana's going to help me with something. Alana, you're just going to stand over there. Over there. Huh. Ooh, okay. Well, you know. Is that okay for y'all? Okay. Man, I didn't think of this. Alana, let's see what happens over here. Look at the light that's reflected back. Oh, man. Yeah, well, of course. Y'all can't see it. Yeah, well, it's all right. Let me shine it right down the middle of the aisle, and someone can move. Right there, okay? Is that all right? Woo! Can you move? Leah, the light is so bright. Okay, stand right there. Very cool. Okay, here we go. Very good. Y'all are playing along. So, it's done unto you as you believe. Okay, that? It not only means that something, it's something that responds, but it actually responds, and that response is limited. We're the one who limits it or not in our belief. Okay, so Holmes is telling us, therefore our beliefs set the limit to our demonstration of a principle which of itself is without limit. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. So they're moving. Thank you for moving. So this principle has no limit, and yet who limits it, perhaps? Yeah, do you ever feel you've limited it? Just once or twice or thrice? Okay, good. But it not only responds to me, but it responds to how I what? Believe. Someone was listening. Thank you. So it responds to how I believe. And it's a co-respondence. It responds with me, as me, right? Like a reflection. Is there, now just play with me here. I know you might can see yourself, but is there anything in the mirror right now? So, right, here's a mirror. We're going to use the mirror as the example. There's nothing there, okay? All right, now we're going to put something in front of it. Can you see yourself? Can some of y'all see her? Right? This reflection is identical to this image, but the image had to come into it. It couldn't reflect without the image coming into it, right? So the image compels it to be. You with me? Yeah, there wasn't anything there. Now, this image is compelling it to be. It's placing it in the law, and what does it do? It directly reflects back what's been placed in it. A mirror image. Who compels the image to be? Yes, Alana represented as all of us, right? What compels this image to be? Belief, thought, right? Yes, okay. So the image is causal. The reflection is the effect. You with me? Okay, and the image couldn't make it itself, by itself. It needs what? It needs a mirror. It needs something to reflect it back, right? So the image can't do it alone. The mirror can't do it alone. When we place ourselves in front of it, put it into the law, what happens? Direct reflection of what we put into it. Holy crap, I'm in trouble. And some of you are clapping. I love that. Woo! So now we know something must be placed in front of it for it to be reflected back. Okay. Wait, don't leave too far. Yeah, you can stand right there, though. If you don't, I know. Do we like what we see or what we get when we place it in there? Okay, well, that's a whole nother talk. You come back for that one. Okay, so this thought is placed into the universal law. Thoughts are placed all the time, like I said, whether we're aware of it or not, right? And these thoughts are whose? Ours, right? 99% of the time, what we believe. Boom, going in, and they're subject to what? The law. The law is the servant. It must produce the direct reflection of what we place into it. This is very important, folks, at least to me. The great, and Dale, and the great news is that what is reflected now, come here. Okay, great. What is reflected now, what is placed in front of it right now, is not what has to stay if we don't like what is reflected back. Okay? And what's been placed and then what is reflected is based upon what? It's based upon what happened back yonder when she decided to place it in, which reflects it, right? But not right now. So right now, no matter what is being reflected in your life, in this moment, in whatever area or whatever's going down, what can you do? Change it. Yeah, I have, no, I'm no changing clothes. We can shift the image, right, in front of the mirror, and the reflection will automatically change. Did it? Automatically? Is it reflecting back what you changed? You get it? It'll correspond to this new image. It'll correspond to the new thought, the new thing. I don't like what's being reflected. I'm going to get something else. I'm going to put it in. Thank you, Alana. You're great. Right? I'll do that just for the sake of y'all's eyes, right? You're welcome. So we can shift it. And we can shift it now. Do you know what happened as I was just, thinking about this a little bit more this morning? My cat, Bodie. I love my cat, Bodie. He's so cool. And it's gotten down to where, at 15, he's only eaten certain things. So recently, I've got him on this organic chicken baby food. And he'll eat this baby food without throwing up. But something strange has happened in the past 3 days. He won't even look at it. I just got 36 more new little jars of baby food. He won't even look at it. He's just crying out for something different. All right? And I'm like, tried other things, and he's throwing that up. And I was starting to get concerned this morning because yet again, he was turning his nose up to something that I feel is really good for him. I believe is really good for him because he hasn't been throwing it up in the past few months. I believe is really good for him. And it occurred to me right in that moment, silly Karen, you're about to talk about this. Why don't you believe that he likes it? I kid you not. 5 minutes later, after 3 days of turning his nose up, he went over to his bowl and he wolfed down that baby food. That's just an example, a recent example. I put something different and it reflected right back in the form of what he decided to eat, okay? All right, just be with that. So faith in the invisible permits a spiritual prototype to come to the surface. So we got to bring faith into this. And faith, again, like we started off in the beginning with some of the questions, that we're dealing with a power which can rearrange facts and create new ones, just like that. Do you believe that you can rearrange the facts? Do you have faith that you can rearrange the conditions of whatever's happening and rearrange them right now? Be with that. Really get real with that in your life. Do you believe that? Because it's done unto you as you believe. That faith can rearrange it. Jesus referred to the prayer of faith as that which causes a creative law to reflect back to us the situations and conditions corresponding to our beliefs. Everything that I'm sharing with you today came out of here, with a little Karen Fry, added to it. So, I'm going to ask you again, do you believe in an invisible power greater than you? Yes. Okay. All right. Ernest Holmes tells us a belief in the power of the invisible is the very essence of faith. He says that's what faith is. Believing in an invisible power. So, again, do you believe that there is a mental and spiritual law which operates on our thoughts? Okay. So some of you may have heard this from Jesus. Well, actually, Paul talked about this quite a bit, who was the Apostle Paul. Y'all remember Paul, some of you? Okay. Paul would say, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Anybody heard that before? Yes. A few of you. So he would exclaim this all the time. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So Paul is saying faith is both substance and evidence. So evidence is that it produces a practical result, and substance that it can take form, and it can take form of any kind. Any kind. And that form can take form of any kind every single day of our lives. What form does your faith want to produce? So, Holmes tells us that our faith becomes a fact. Now, we know about facts, right? We like facts. We like evidence. We say all the time, well, there it is. I can see it. It's evident. If you see it enough, you actually... So think of faith. Faith becomes a fact and is our evidence in our experience. The key is, it is done unto me as I believe. And this faith must be my own. This faith must be your own. No one else's. It's yours to take up. What do you have faith in? Because it's a direct evidence in your daily life. And it's important. Let's see what Ernest Holmes says again. He says, we should study to have faith. Study to have faith. Not just an abstract quality of the mind, but as an active agency in the thought, in everything we do, say, and think. In the lives of those who have had faith, we find examples worthy to follow. Do you have examples in your life of people with faith that are worthy to follow? Okay. But we dare not stop here. The lives of others should remind us of the latent possibilities within ourselves. Great examples are but signposts on the pathway of our own spiritual evolution. We should study, he says, therefore, to have faith for ourselves. And he says we should practice faith. We should practice faith. Like a spiritual practice. Take it up. It's an important topic. We should practice it. And he tells us that we should deliberately decide to live by faith. in everything that we say, everything that we do, everything that we be, but we deliberately decide to take up faith. And I believe that that faith ought to be positive and affirmative. That's a good faith, positive and affirmative. And focused on the recognition of and belief, again, that there's an invisible power. That is where? Everywhere. Is there any place where it is not? So therefore it's within me and I can use it. Yes? And so what Ernest Holmes talks about based upon the teachings of Jesus is, yes, it's done unto us as we believe, and we must bring this thing called spiritual faith with us. And I think he sums it up so well right here. He says spiritual faith is unshakable conviction. Spiritual faith is unshakable conviction, a surrender of the mind, the will, and the imagination to the belief in an invisible agency which can and will respond to us. Unshakable conviction that there is something greater than me, that is this invisible power, God, Spirit, whatever we choose to call it, and it responds to me, right? And to study to have faith should be one of our main endeavors. The rules for the use of faith are definitely laid down in the teachings of Jesus and his immediate followers. We must either set the whole story aside as a myth, dissipate its meaning through thinking of it as impossible to attain, or accept it as a simple, understandable, concise method of procedure. It's a formula. It's right here. We can set it aside and throw it away as a myth. We cannot believe it fully, which then that has impact on our life, or we can say, I fully believe that this is true, that there is a power for good in the universe, and I can use it. And I have faith that every time I do, it what? Reflects back to me precisely what I put into it. What I'm noticing with every single person that I speak to and talk to some degree, in classes, in sessions, in conversations, one-on-ones, whenever we get together and talk, there's still this ever so slightly thing like, but she can do it, not me. He could do it, Jesus, whomever, but not me. Oh, the practitioner can do it, but not me. Oh, Karen can do it, but not me. I started precisely where any of you coming into this community not knowing anything about Ernest Holmes, I started right there too. So that's one thing. The other thing is there's still this belief that this, whatever it is not who I am. Fully, completely, always. And that brings the separation. That brings the duality. That takes all the power of this infinite presence out of our reach to some degree. It is done unto me as I believe. I have faith, I have hope, and I have trust that whatever false beliefs, whatever is getting in the way, whatever it takes for you, a class, a session with a practitioner, a conversation with a friend, whatever it is, just a realization that a cat wasn't eating something. And I believed that he would. And he did. And it doesn't matter whether it's someone's physical condition, albeit big or small. It doesn't matter if it's anything to do with money. It doesn't matter if it's anything to do with a relationship. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It is a mirror, and it must reflect back. But it reflects back based upon your belief that this is true. And that you, because there's no place where this is not, you are that power. You are that presence. You are that universal thing that's individualized and expressed, and you get to make it personal to you. And the only caveat, the only quote rule that we have in our entire teaching, that one could say a doctrine or dogma, is that whatever you want can do no harm, because it's still only one thing. And it's all the storehouses open for you to receive as you believe that it is. And I know that you receive it. And so it is.